What it do, everybody? Pastor the Change Man Smith. Come on in, grab a pen and make sure you tell a friend. I got some news you can use and it's all about the blues. I'm on my way. Dale High, stand up, May 2nd, pre-Mother's Day is going down. Yes, sir, heavy hitters bringing your man, the pastor is on the way. Listen, I got to come down through there, gonna swing from the chandelier, gonna stomp a hole in that floor and gonna baptize that stage with sweat. I need you to go ahead and get your tickets. Ain't no need you thinking about it, go on and be about it. You hear me? Go on and be about it, because it's going down May 2nd, Dale High at the Dale High Civic Center. We calling Dale High, Dale Low, Dale Medium, wherever you are, Dale Computers, Dale. Come on, whoever the Dales you are, the Dales. Even invite y'all to come on. Make sure you have your face in the place and meet Pastor Dick the Change Man Smith. It's going down. Listen, I can't believe how crazy I am about you and that I want to roll with you. Don't let nobody tell you that I don't love you. And remember, I don't want nobody at my house when I'm at home. I'll see y'all May 2nd, Dale High, Louisiana. Stand up. And remember, change ain't change until you change. Let's go, y'all. I'll see you there. Peace.
What I feel ain't real. I cried about it. I lied about it. To tell.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Dick the Change Man Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stomping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Port Gibson, Mississippi, Trader Joke and Lux VIP Lounge and Sandbar presents the Return of the Grown Folks Party, featuring Pastor Derek the Change Man Smith. Saturday, April 4th, 2026, going down at Lux VIP Lounge and Sandbar, 1202 Market Street in Port Gibson. Doors open at 9 p.m. Admission is just $15 before 9 and $20 at the door. We'll see you there.
What it do, everybody? Pastor Dick the Change Man Smith. Come on in, grab a pen and make sure you tell a friend. I got some news you can use and it's all about the blues. I'm on my way. Dale High, stand up, May 2nd, pre-Mother's Day is going down. Yes, sir, heavy hitters bringing your man, the pastor is on the way. Listen, I got to come down through there, gonna swing from the chandelier, gonna stomp a hole in that floor and gonna baptize that stage with sweat. I need you to go ahead and get your tickets. Ain't no need you thinking about it, go on and be about it. You hear me? Go on and be about it, because it's going down May 2nd, Dale High at the Dale High Civic Center. We calling Dale High, Dale Low, Dale Medium, wherever you are, Dale Computers, Dale. Come on, whoever the Dales you are, the Dales. Even invite y'all to come on. Make sure you have your face in the place and meet Pastor Dick the Change Man Smith. It's going down. Listen, I can't believe how crazy I am about you and that I want to roll with you. Don't let nobody tell you that I don't love you. And remember, I don't want nobody at my house when I'm at home. I'll see y'all May 2nd, Dale High, Louisiana. Stand up. And remember, change ain't change until you change. Let's go, y'all. I'll see you there. Peace.
What I feel ain't real. I cried about.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Dick the Change Man Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stomping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Get ready, Florence, Alabama. J&A Productions presents Clock Out and Turn Up Blues Fest. Live at the Florence Lauderdale Coliseum, 702 Veterans Drive in Florence. Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Show starts at 7. Featuring Pastor Derek the Change Man Smith and others. Tickets on sale now. Call 256-856-7775 or get your tickets online now. We'll see you there. This is the year of expansion. Not theory, not talk. Expansion. Brought to you by the Change Agent Network. Powered by SKD Entertainment and distributed by SKD TV. If you're ready to move, if you're ready to build, if you're ready to expand, then you have come to the right room. Welcome to the BoardRoom Report. Strategic direction for clear execution. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now, Pastor Derek, the Change Man Smith.
Come on. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the BoardRoom Report. I am yours truly, Pastor Derek, the Change Man Smith, and I want to welcome you to another triumphant, tantalizing Tuesday. Yeah, triumphant, tantalizing Tuesday. I want to welcome you and tell you that this is the most amazing time of your life. This is the year of expansion, and I'm telling you, God is doing something amazing. So I want you to come on in, grab a pen, and make sure you tell your friend. We got some exciting stuff for you on tonight, and we're not going to delay. We're going to get right on into it. By now, you should know how to come to this session. By now, you should understand that this is very much with intense intentionality for you to learn how to structure, strategize, and bring clarity to the clutter so that you can move with expansion. Yes, we decree and declare that over your life today. And so we thank God for you being here. We want you to invite someone that you know that needs to hear a good word. Invite somebody that you know that's struggling. Invite somebody that needs what we have. We're not selfish with this thing. And it's free. It's free. We ain't charging. No, sir. I've learned a lot of lessons in my past. I've paid dearly for them, but I have committed to God as he has committed to me that my mandate is to meet the total need of the total man. And so therefore, I'm going to help you with mentality, physicality, spirituality, financially, climate. I'm going to help you in everywhere that I can because that's what God has given me to do. I'm going to take what I have, all my beauty scars, my bruises and ups and downs and changes and turnarounds. I'm going to take every bit of that and I'm going to put this, continue to put this together in bite-sized ways that you can hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that I did. All right. So come on in. Again, we want to welcome you. This is the year of expansion. This is the BoardRoom Report where we have strategic direction and clear execution. Now, before we move and before we build, we got to make sure that we come all the way in the room. I want you to come all the way in the room with me tonight, not halfway, not listening while you halfway scrolling. I want you to come all the way, not catching pieces, but I want you to come all the way in tonight because tonight is one of those nights where it's not a casual conversation. This one you're going to have to sit with because there are certain conversations that you just don't rush through. And not because they're complicated, but because they expose things. And tonight we're going to expose some things. And when things get exposed, you can't unsee what you've now seen. And so I'm coming in tonight. I'm not coming in loud. I'm not coming in, but I'm coming in accurate. I'm coming in with alignment with my assignment tonight because there's a space in your life that we don't like to identify. When we think about the boardroom, we think about people with big back leather chairs, tall glass windows, executives. But I want you to know that if you are a person that makes decisions that affect anybody, you are a board. You have a boardroom. That's the space where decisions get made, where directions get set, where either things move forward or they either stay exactly as they are. And that is the boardroom. So I want you to come on in as we sit in the BoardRoom Report, but you are currently sitting in your own boardroom. Yeah, I want to welcome you to your own boardroom. Some people didn't even know that you had one. So congratulations and welcome to your own boardroom. If this is a boardroom, then there's a board, a board. You have an executive board, people that sit around the table and make decisions. And if there's a board, then that means there are seats. That means there's a table. And if there are seats and there's a table, that means there are people sitting in those seats, not just standing around you, not checking in every now and then, but seated, which means they have position. Now, don't rush past that now, because we love to talk about who's around us, but we almost never stop and deal with who's actually sitting at the table, because, hey, everyone around you ain't with you. Oh, that's good already. Everybody that's around you is not with you. So tonight we're going to talk about who's actually sitting at the table. And before we even get into what they do, before we start labeling anything, there's a question sitting right here that most people skip, but we're not going to skip it. But the question I want to ask you tonight is, you think about all of your people that are at your boardroom table. I want you to answer this one question. How did they get in the room? How did they get in the room? Because I'm looking at people and I'm looking at lives, and I'm seeing folks sitting in positions that not everybody reviewed. That not everybody. See, a lot of people have positions, but don't have permission. Come on, I'm talking to you. Yeah. See, in the real world, let's say a company gets bought out, and it's a new acquisition, or even a new management firm takes over. Or a new shifting in management period. Well, when new ownership, new management takes over, they don't start with expansion. They don't start with expansion. They don't start with marketing. They don't start with let's grow. They start walking through that building, office to office, door to door, and they want to know some questions. They want to ask you, well, who are you? What do you do? And why are you here? Who put you in this seat? How did you get in this? What qualifications do you have to be in this position? And if the answer isn't clear, then that seat will have to be evacuated until they can find somebody to put in that space that's qualified. In a real boardroom, you don't get to sit down just because you've been around. Can I say it again? In an executive boardroom, not a real boardroom, because you have a boardroom and your boardroom is real. But in a commercialized boardroom, you don't get to sit down just because you've been around. That's a whole lot of janitors been there longer than executives, but they don't get to go up to the top floor. You don't get a voice just because people recognize your face. You don't get influence because you've been present. But in our personal lives, we've got people sitting at the table because they've been there for a certain amount of time. They showed up, they stayed around, they became familiar, and we never stopped to ask, what exactly do you do here? So now the table is full of people with no paperwork, no assignment, no responsibility, no defined purpose, just sitting. And here's the part that hits us most. We didn't even sit them with intention. They just sat down, and we never checked them. We tend to let their presence turn into position. We let familiarity turn into influence. And we've let the fact that they've been around become confused with belonging here. But now you've got people in decision-making spaces, and you don't even know how they got there. That's not a small thing. That's not minor. That's a major problem, because anything that hasn't been reviewed can't be trusted. And anybody that hasn't been evaluated shouldn't be influencing anything that's important. But we don't do reviews in life. We don't audit people. We don't question access. We just keep on moving with our day-to-day experiences, and we let the people continue to be seated in places that they should never have been seated in the first place. But the longer that they sit, the more normal that it feels. And now we start saying like, well, that's just my people. That's just who's around, and that's just how it is. But no, you got to take control of your board and your boardroom. Yeah, before we go any further, before we call anybody anything, I'm going to stay right there for a second, because I want to go back to the question, how did you get here? Come on, I hear Deborah Cox saying, how did you get here? Who gave them that seat and why? Has anybody asked them, and what are they doing with the seat? What are they doing with the position that they have found themselves in? We've already established something, that the room is not empty. Seats are not available, and people are already sitting down, which means we're not building from scratch. We're dealing with what's already in place. So now we don't guess, we don't assume, we don't move off of emotion, we classify, because everybody sitting in your life is going to fall into two categories, not 10, not 5, but 2. They're going to set into 2 categories. This is how we're going to assess who's in the room of your boardroom report. 2 categories. First category is surveyors, and the second category is supporters. Surveyors versus supporters. And if you don't make the very clear distinction, you will treat both of them the same. And when you treat both of them the same, you will reward the wrong people and drain yourself trying to carry other people. So let's deal with the first one, surveyors. All right, surveyors. Surveyors don't build anything. What they do is they study. They sit back, they watch how you move, they track your decisions and analyze your patterns and form opinions on things that they never touched. They can tell you what you should have done, what you could have done, what they would have done, but they never did or have done anything. They are experts only in observation. They got language, feedback, and commentary, but they have no investment and they have no weight. You will never catch a surveyor in the pressure of what you're carrying. Never. You will never catch a surveyor in the position that you're in. They can't take it. They're not built. They don't have the capacity, but yet they have the commentary. Come on. Come on. That's why our foundational scripture comes back to Jabez, 1 Chronicles 4:9-10. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother named him Jabez, and I gave birth to him in pain. And Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain." God granted his request. That's what we shout right there. But the fact that he says enlarge my territory, that means capacity has to be expanded. And a lot of people who are surveyors will never be in your position because they don't have the capacity, even though they have the commentary. That's good. Come on. They don't like to show up for responsibility. They show up for visibility. They don't show up for responsibility. They show up for visibility. They like being close enough to see it, but never close enough to feel it. And the cold part about this is they don't even see themselves as a problem, because from their perspective, they're just talking. They're just giving input. They're just keeping it real. No, you're reviewing something that you were never assigned to. You're giving input where you don't have investment. Those are major issues. Come on. Come on. A surveyor, if you let them sit long enough, they will start sounding like they have authority. And you have to be careful of who, not only the surveyor, you got to be careful how close you allow surveyors are to you, but you have to also take audit of who is close to the surveyor, because surveyors will sound like they have authority because they've watched you, they know your patterns, and they will tend to speak on your behalf when you didn't give them authorization. When somebody is always around, always talking, always commenting, your mind will start to register them as valid, not because they earned it, but because they are consistent. And consistency without responsibility is very dangerous, because now you got a voice in your life, and that voice in your life lives in your head, and that they have no consequence. If you fail, they are nowhere around. They don't answer for your decisions. They don't carry your outcomes. They don't feel your losses, yet they have input without investment. But they've got something to say about how you should move. That's not support. That's surveillance. And if you don't catch that, you will keep adjusting your life based on people who have no investment in what happens to it. Now, don't get quiet on me, because some of y'all just saw somebody in your mind. Somebody saw a picture of that person that came to mind, and we're not even done yet. Because if that's what a survey is, then the next question becomes, who is in your room and who is actually carrying something? Yeah, that person that you saw, that person that came, that image that came to your mind, you need to ask right here, who let you in here, and what are you doing with the role that you hold? The truth about surveyors, risk and rewards. Now, let's deal with this right away. No soft edges, no cleanup language, because the truth is surveyors come with rewards and they come with risk. Yes, there's a yin and a yang to everything. That's why the Bible says all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are the called according to their purpose. That's Romans 8:28. That's why we pray, Lord, teach us how to receive each and every blessing, because there's a upside. Some things that we think are negative are actually strategic movements of God, strategic movements by God. Just because it didn't feel good to you doesn't mean it isn't good for you. Yeah. Just because it doesn't feel good to you doesn't mean it isn't good for you. All right. So let's deal with this right here. Most people only see one side of it. They either enjoy the attention or they get frustrated with the interference. Yeah. Interference. Yeah. That's another word. Input without investment equals interference. Come on. That's good. Input without investment leads to interference. All right. But they never fully understand what they're actually dealing with. So there's a reward to having surveyors around you. Truth one. All right. Here's the first truth. Surveying brings attention, but attention is not alignment. Surveyors bring attention. They're going to always tell something. They're going to always report something. But you got to understand that just because they bring attention to you, right, whether indirectly or directly, that attention does not mean that's alignment. Surveyors watch you. They track you, pay attention to your moves. They notice your patterns. They repeat your name even when you're not in the room. They keep your presence circulating. And for a lot of people, that feels like progress. I don't know. Either way you look at it, that's promotion. Yeah, that's PR. People that continue to talk about you, whether you're in the room or not, they're keeping your name alive. You may not understand that, but that's currency. I dare you to call a radio station or a newspaper today and try to find how much it would cost for you to run an ad. They are running free ads for you. So that is a benefit of a surveyor. All right. Because if nobody's watching you, you start questioning if anything you're doing matters. So when surveyors show up, sometimes it feels like confirmation. People see me, people are paying attention, people are noticing what I'm doing. And on the surface, that feels good. And on the surface, that's not wrong, but we got to go down and stop clipping at the top of the tree, but go down into the roots on the ground, roots in the ground, roots below the ground. All right. Visibility matters. Movement attracts observation. Movement attracts observation. The more that you move, the more that you become consistent, the more that you become visible, it attracts observation, which means people are going to put their eyes on you. But growth gets studied. Here's where it turns. Attention does not mean alignment. Just because somebody's watching you does not mean they're connected to you. And just because they can repeat what you're doing does not mean they understand the reason of why you're doing what you're doing. Just because your name is in their mouth doesn't mean that your vision is in their heart. I just said some mighty foul things. And if I had time, y'all, I'd go back and unpack it for you, but I really don't have the time to unpack it. You're going to have to go back and watch it again. Surveyors don't follow your assignment. They follow your activity. They don't connect to your purpose. They connect to your movement. So now you've got attention, but no alignment. You got visibility, but no support. You've got people who can describe your life, but they cannot help you carry it. And if you misread that, you will start feeding energy into people who were never feeding anything or have no desire to feed anything into you. That's the first reward. And that's also the first trap. All right, let's look at the second truth. Surveyors benefit from your movement without ever being tied to your outcome. Surveyors enjoy what you build. They set in environments you created. They benefit from doors you open. They experience the atmosphere that you produce. They like being connected to something that's moving. They like being associated with progress, and they like being in proximity to your growth. But here's what they don't have. They don't have the risk, even though they're enjoying the reward. If your situation collapses, they don't collapse with it. If your decisions fail, they don't answer for it. If everything you're building slows down or burns down, their life keeps moving. And that's one of the things that I've noticed, that people who are surveyors, when something that they're connected to you, because I've had a lot of start and stops. I've had a lot of chapters in my book of life. And in my book and in my journey, I've been blessed to have a lot of intel. I have a lot of history in opening businesses. I'm a conduit that can do it. And so I've had people that have been around while things were good. And when things were not good, they vanished. Yeah, that lets me know that. And they went right back. They didn't learn anything from being connected to me. They went right back. They went right back. Come on, right here in this moment, I want you to decree and declare what we decreed and declared a couple of weeks ago. I refuse to return. No matter what happens. Listen, if I don't make it to my destination, one thing I'm not going to do is I refuse to return to where I've been. I now know better, I desire better, and I'm going to get better. If I don't get best, I'm going to definitely get better. I refuse to return. Can I get somebody to just decree and declare that you refuse to return? These surveyors are connected to your movement, but disconnected from your consequence. That means that they can sit comfortably while you carry all the pressure. They can enjoy the environment without investing in its stability, and they can benefit from what exists without contributing to what sustains it. And that imbalance is dangerous because now you got people in your life who are experiencing the reward without sharing the responsibility. That creates a one-sided type of relationship. You produce and they consume. And if you don't recognize that, you will keep building spaces that other people will enjoy while you carry all the weight. That's not partnership. That's usage. They're using you. And that's a trap. Truth number 3, surveyors will critique what they never were built to carry. This is where it starts getting real because surveyors don't stay silent. They have thoughts, opinions, perspectives, and suggestions. They will tell you what you should have done. They will question you why you did it that way, will offer alternatives after the fact, and they will analyze your decisions that they never had to make. And the reason they can do that so freely is because they are not tied to the outcome. It's always easier to manage something if you're not responsible for something. It's easier to say, I would have done this, when you didn't have to decide under pressure. It's easy to say you should have done that when you didn't carry the result. It's easy to critique direction when you're not accountable for where it leads. So now you got voices speaking in spaces that they have no responsibility in. And if you're not grounded, you will start entertaining those voices. You will start explaining your decisions, justifying your moves, and start second guessing your instincts, which is the worst out of the 3. Whenever someone has gotten into your head where you start second guessing your instinct, that's a major problem, because what you call instinct is called discernment by God. God gives you that. He says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. How you think those steps get ordered? So when God tells you to do something, but you got somebody in your ear, in your mind, in your head talking, you're now competing with the voice of God. God is trying to tell you something, but you got the surveyor telling you something. That's a very dangerous place to be. It's dangerous because it's not because you don't know what you're doing or where you're going, but because you're surrounded by people who keep giving commentary who never had anything to do with anything. And the longer that continues, the more your execution gets diluted, because you're not just moving forward, you're managing opinions. So be careful at how you have a competition of voices. All right. Here's the 4th truth about surveyors. Surveyors create noise that sounds like guidance. Come on in the room. This one is subtle. This is where people really get caught. Surveyors are consistent. They're around, they talk, they comment, they stay present in conversation. And over time, your mind starts registering them as part of decision-making environments, not because they earned it, but because they're familiar. Now their voice blends in with voices that actually matter. They sound like somebody you depend on, but they're really not. Everything now seems like it's valid input. And that's where clarity starts to break down. You hear me talking about bringing clarity to the clutter. It's not that you can't handle it, that you're not smart. It's sometimes we have too many people talking at the same time. And a lot of those voices aren't authorized voices, because not all voices are carrying the same weight. Not all opinions are supposed to be processed. Not all perspectives are supposed to be considered. Listen, I have learned to insulate and isolate. Very few opinions am I listening to. But I do tell you this: you cannot accept the compliments without accepting the criticisms. That's why you also hear me say, I refuse to be bought by compliments and crushed by criticisms. I have an audience of one. That don't mean that I am not apt to correction. That doesn't mean that I'm above reproach or reprove. That's not that. That means that I'm going to accept that from very trusted sources. Yeah. But when everything in the room is unstructured, everything gets in. So now you're trying to move forward, but your thinking is crowded. Too many angles, perspectives, suggestions, and unnecessary input. And instead of moving with precision and confidence, you start hesitating, you start overthinking, and you start slowing down. Not because you lack direction, but because you've allowed noise to sit in the same place where guidance is supposed to be. That seat has noise where there should be guidance. And noise, when it stays long enough, it eventually starts sounding like truth. Here's the 5th truth of surveyors. Surveyors will slow your execution down without even touching your work. This is where it starts costing you. You don't notice it at first because nothing is visibly wrong. But over time, you start taking longer to decide. You start revisiting things you already settled, and you start explaining things that you didn't even have to start explaining. Your movement changes, not because your capacity changed, but because your environment changed. And you're now carrying more than the work. You're carrying the weight of being watched. The weight of being questioned, the weight of being evaluated in real time, the weight of being assessed about your concise and precision. Now, instead of clean execution, you got a delayed movement. And here's the cold part of that. The people that's causing the delay are not the people that's doing any of their work. They're not building, they're not producing, they're not responsible, but they are affecting your pace. I refuse to return. That's interference. And if you don't catch it, you would think something is wrong with you, when in reality, it's your environment slowing you down. You've got surveyors that are hanging around giving input without investment, and that's going to cause a roadblock. Come on, truth number 6. We rolling tonight. Surveyors will stay as long as access is available. Remember, I just told you, as long as everything was good, they were around. But when things collapsed, they couldn't be found. They are not going to remove themselves because they are they're benefiting too much to being close to you. They're not going to step back and say, this ain't my lane. No, they're going to be all up in your business, listening to conversations that they shouldn't, having an opinion about things that they shouldn't, and even talking to people that you didn't even authorize them to talk to. They're not going to question whether they belong in their seat. If the door is open, they're going to walk right on in. If the seat is available, they're going to sit down. That's just human nature. All of us do that. But access invites presence. Presence becomes habit. Habit becomes expectation. Now they're not just there. They feel like they belong there. They now have entitlement. And if nobody interrupts that, baby, that becomes permanent. So now that you've got long-term occupancy with their original assignment, they've been there so long, nobody even remembers how they got here. Well, how did they really? How? Right, that part. And when something becomes normal, that's when questions stop being asked. That's how rooms get filled with people who were never placed. So now you got to see it clearly. The reward of surveyors is attention, visibility, and awareness, but the risk is interference, misalignment, delay, and weight that you were never supposed to carry. And if you don't manage, you will keep building in a room where everybody is watching, but nobody is actually helping you move forward. Now, let that sit right there for a second. Process that real quickly. What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Get ready, Florence, Alabama. J&A Productions presents Rock Out and Turn Up Blues Fest. Live at the Florence Lauderdale Coliseum, 702 Veterans Drive in Florence. Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Show starts at 7. Featuring Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith and others. Tickets on sale now. Call 256-856-7775 or get your tickets online now. We'll see you there.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Athens, Georgia, get ready for the Mother's Day extravaganza. Saturday, May 9th at the VFW Post 2872, 835 Sunset Drive in Athens, Georgia. Doors open at 6 p.m. and show at 8. Featuring Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith and others. Tickets are $30 in advance and $40 at the door. Get yours now at momdayeventbrite.com or call 229-344-4468. We'll see you there.
How y'all doing? I said, how y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? I'm so excited to be here with you. And the reason why I'm so excited is because I came with an answer to somebody's problem. Oh, yes. If you can't see the surveyors clearly, if you cannot recognize the attention, the noise, and the interference, then you're in a position that you need to understand something else, because everybody in your room is not a problem. That's where people get it twisted. The issue is not that the people are present. It's not a problem that the surveyors are present. It's a problem that they have a misidentification. It's a problem that they don't have the proper credentials, that they're sitting in places that they don't have qualification. Because in the same room with all that noise and all that observation, with all that commentary, there are also people who are actually carrying something that most of us don't talk about. They don't announce themselves. They don't need to be seen every time something is happening. But if you look closely, they're connected to the weight. Yeah. So make sure you take an alignment with who is sitting at your table. Identify your surveyors. And now let's talk about the risk and rewards of supporters. Yeah, supporters. Supporters are connected to the weight. And if you miss the supporters, because of being distracted by surveyors, you will overlook the very people who are assigned to help you move. So now we've got to shift, because just like surveyors come with rewards and risk, so do supporters. And this is where it gets just as real, because supporters are not just good people. Supporters come with responsibility, with expectation, and supporters come with weight. And if you don't understand that, you will either underutilize them, because we don't like the word use, but underutilize them, or you will mishandle them, because supporters don't show up to watch. They show up to carry. But carrying costs something. So now the question changes, not just who is helping me, but what does it cost for you to have me, for you to help me? Because supporters are coming to help, but help comes with a price. And you need to know what's the cost of the help. Everybody says they want supporters until it requires structure, accountability, and responsibility. So before we start getting all excited and celebrating supporters, before we start calling people supporters, we got to break this down the same way. What are the rewards and what are the risks of having real supporters at your table? Now let's deal with it the same way, with no shortcuts and no surface talk. Let's stop clipping at the top of the tree and let's do some root work. Because just like surveyors come with rewards and risks, so do supporters. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. You think supporters are just good, loyal people who will always be there. No. Supporters are not defined by how they feel about you or how you feel about them. Supporters are defined by what they carry with you. All right. So again, let's look at some truths on supporter. I think we did 6 truths on surveyors. Let's look at some truths on supporters. Truth number 1, supporters multiply movement, but they require clarity. When real supporters are in the room, things move differently, not louder, but faster, not chaotic, but cleaner. Because now you're not the only one pushing. You're not the only one thinking. You're not the only one holding everything together. And a real supporter reduces friction. A real supporter reduces friction. They don't add questions where answers already exist. They don't create confusion when direction has already been set. They don't need to be convinced every time something shifts. They lock in. And when they lock in, execution accelerates. Things get done without you touching them, without you telling them. Problems get solved without you chasing them and encouraging them. And weights get carried without you announcing it. All right? That's the reward. Movement multiplies. But here's the other side. That kind of movement only happens when there's clarity. Supporters are not mind readers. They don't guess your roles. They don't assume positions. They don't create structure on their own. If the assignment is unclear, even the right people will move wrong. So it's important that you, as the boardroom, as the CEO, make sure that you put people in place and give them clarity so that they will be utilized in the proper way. If the assignment is unclear, even the right people will move wrong. Now you've got people willing to carry, but nothing clearly defined on what to carry, how to carry. The effort exists, but the direction doesn't. The effort exists, but the clarity isn't. And when clarity is missing, support turns into scattered energy. So yes, supporters multiply movement, but only when the room is clear enough for them to know exactly what they're responsible for. Come on, we rolling. I told you this is loaded tonight. Truth number 2, supporters share the weight, but they expose your structure. Supporters don't sit light. They don't float in their room. They connect to the weight. They feel what you feel. They carry what you carry. They become tied to outcomes, not just activity. If something breaks, they feel it. If something slows down, they feel it. If something goes wrong, they feel it. Not from the outside, but from the inside. They're inside the impact. That's the reward. You're not alone in the pressure. That's the reward of having a supporter, that you're not by yourself any longer. Supporters will expose how well or how poorly that you are structured, because a lot of people have been doing something for so long by themselves, and when they get support, you was doing it so dysfunctionally because you was the only one that noticed. But when you get support will identify and expose where you have leaks at, because when the weight is shared, inefficiency shows up faster. When the weight is shared, inefficiency shows up faster. If communication is off, they feel it. If direction is inconsistent, they're going to feel it. If expectations are unclear, they're going to feel it. And now what used to stay hidden becomes, because you was the only one carrying it, now becomes revealed. Supporters don't get they don't create the problem, they reveal the problem. So now you've got to face your own system, your own leadership, your own clarity, your own dysfunction, because once real support is in place, you can't hide behind doing everything alone. All right. Truth number 3, supporters protect the vision, but they require trust. Supporters don't just carry tasks. They guard direction. They protect what's being built. And they speak when something is off. They challenge when something doesn't align, not to control you, but to keep the vision clean. They don't just agree, they engage. That's the reward. Everybody wants a yes man to agree with everything you say, but your real support is going to challenge you. You're not the only one watching, and the integrity of what's being built is now being shared. The responsibility of that integrity. But here's where it gets real. You cannot have real supporters without real trust. And the only way you can get real supporters to have real trust is you got to have time, test, and that equals trust. A supporter is going to see things. They're going to have access to information. They're going to be close enough to understand how things actually move. And if you don't trust them, you will limit them. You're going to hold back information. You're going to second guess their involvement. And then ultimately, you're going to reduce their responsibility. And now that they're in the room, but they're not fully activated. And that's a waste of a seat. This creates frustration because supporters don't want to sit idle. They want to function. Supporters want to come in and see momentum. They want to see movement. They want to see progress. So now you got the right people in the right space, but they can't fully move because trust isn't established. And that's not a people issue. That's a trust issue. And trust isn't established because you haven't had time, test, to get you the trust, nor do you have the clarity to get them involved to see the consistency. That's the time part. Come on. Truth number 4. Supporters extend your reach, but they require accountability. Supporters just don't help you do more. They allow you to go further because now influence doesn't stop with you. It also moves with them. What you build expands. What you create extends. What you establish continues. And even when you're not physically present, that's the reward of a supporter. Your reach grows beyond your personal capacity. They're telling everybody about you. They're telling their friends and family about you because here's the other side. Support without accountability becomes liability because once someone is carrying part of the vision, their action affects the outcome. If they move wrong, it reflects on you. If they drop something, it impacts everything that's connected to it. So now accountability has to exist. Clear expectation, clear standards, clear responsibility, not to control them, but to protect what's being built. Because the moment supporters are in place, what they do matters. And if accountability is missing, what started off as support can end up as damage. Truth number 5, supporters stay through pressure, but they will not stay through dysfunction. Supporters are not seasonal. They don't disappear when things get hard, and they don't back off when pressure increases. If anything, they lean in. They show up stronger when things get heavy. They stay engaged when things get difficult. They don't run from responsibility. That's the reward of having a supporter. They're going to give you stability, consistency, and presence when it really matters. But here's the truth. Supporters will not stay in dysfunction. They will not stay where there's no structure. They will not stay where there's constant confusion. And they will not stay where their effort has no direction. Because supporters are not just committed, they are intentional. And intentional people do not stay in environments that don't respect structure. So if you lose supporters, it's not always because they were wrong. Sometimes it's because the environment could not sustain them. And now you've got to see this clearly because surveyors bring attention, but no weight, but supporters bring weight, but they do require structure. Surveyors will stay without an assignment, but supporters need assignments to function. Surveyors create noise, but supporters create movement. And if you don't know the difference, you will keep a room full of people and still be the only one building. All right. Here's another little problem that we need to look at when it comes to supporters. Sometimes you need to make sure that you don't have sabotage by supporters because, I said sabotage by supporters. And here's the reason why. Everybody that's carrying something ain't always carrying it clean. And this is the part nobody likes to deal with because supporters can sabotage too, not from the outside, but from the inside. Boats don't drown from being in the water. They drown when the water gets in the boat. Who's in your boat? Yeah. It's more dangerous because a surveyor can only talk, but a supporter can move things. So now we got to tighten this up because there's a type of supporter that doesn't just help. They shift the room in the wrong direction. They started out with all the pre-qualifications and pre-existing things that I just mentioned, but somewhere down the line, that's why you got to always keep assessing. You got to always do a review. Stop giving people lifelong access. Every quarter, take another quarterly review. Every year, take another yearly review and analyze and review who is at the boardroom table and why. You've got to be aware of supporters who try to control and supporters who create chaos. All right. So let's deal with controlling supporters first. These are the ones that carry, but they start crossing lines. They don't just execute the assignment. They start trying to shape the direction of the movement. They don't just handle their role. They start teaching and reaching into roles that were never given to them. Now it sounds like, well, I think we should. I feel like this would be better. We might want to change. No, we can't do nothing because you have a lane. We can talk about the lane that you're in, but you cannot. If you do not have the type of supporter that is sitting up here with you, they should not be authorized to give you bird's eye view, panoramic view input when they have a lane. It sounds good because they seem like they want to be helpful. It sounds valid, but they've been inconsistent. But here's the problem. They're no longer supporting the vision. They're trying to steer it. I've had so many people that have come to my organization that have wanted to so bad to put their thumbprint. Baby, I've been doing this. I started this. I've been doing this for double decades. So I know the direction where I'm going. I know the identity of my organization. I know the identity of me as an artist. But a lot of times, and that's why I've had major conglomerates with contracts on the table that we just decided that we're not doing this because they wanted to take and shape and make me what they wanted, which is fine, but I know who I am. And you got to know who you are. You got to know where you're going. You got to know what you're after, because if not, controlling supporters will take you down through there. All right. Now let's talk about chaotic supporters. Chaotic supporters are not trying to control. They're trying to help, but they bring confusion with them. They move fast, but not accurate. They quick, but not clear. They jump in without understanding the full picture. They always got something to say, and they haven't even heard the full schematic yet. Now, this is where things get messy because information gets twisted and the messages get miscommunicated. Decisions get executed halfway, and now you got movement with no alignment. So things are happening, but nothing is landing clear. That's chaos. And the dangerous part about that is that they're not doing it on purpose. God bless their little heart. They mean well. They want to help. They're trying to carry something, but they're not disciplined enough to carry. Everybody with good intentions don't mean that they have good execution. That's a different type of drain, because now you're not just carrying the vision, you're cleaning up the vision behind what's supposed to be support. But that's not support. That's disruption. That's interruption. And now you got to see this clearly. Support is not just about effort. It's about alignment and discipline, because the wrong supporter in the right seat can do just as much as damage as a room full of surveyors. Let me say it again. The wrong supporter in the right seat can do just as much damage as a room full of surveyors. The real question is not if they're helping. The question is, how are they helping? Is the help? I'm writing a song that says your love is too expensive. Your love is too expensive. Some people can love you, but it costs too much. It costs too much. You got to go back and see, what is it costing you? Are they bringing clarity or confusion, executing or trying to control? Because at this level, you don't need people who care. You need people who can carry without contaminating what they're carrying. And that's the difference. If you don't address that, you will fix the surveyor problem, but you will still have a broken room. Now, we're not just thinking tonight. We're documenting this for real. All right. We're not just talking. We are documenting this for real. So grab something to write with, because we're about to run a real audit in real time. We're going to run a real audit in real time. All right. Here we go. I want you to think about one person, and don't think about this person casually. Don't pick somebody easy. Don't pick somebody that you don't want to be honest about. I want you to start with one person. And the person I want you to start with is the person that has the most influence in your room. Who is the person that has the most influence in your boardroom report? All right, here we go. So write down their names, one name. Now, don't write down their real name in case somebody see your notes, because the person that's reading it might be the one that you're talking about. All right. So write down their name, but put a code name, only a name that you would know. All right. Give them a label or some type of, discreet, because this is not for sharing. This is for clarity. Under that name, I want you to write three things. I want you to write weight, movement, impact. These are the three categories that we're going to score. We're going to score our people on three categories: weight, WEIGHT, movement, and impact. Okay. We're going to score them based on what's real. Not how long they've been around, not what they say, not what you hope, but weight. All right. Here we go with weight. First one. What do they actually carry? If they dropped it today, what would you have to pick up immediately? If the person that you're thinking about dropped whatever they have today, what would you have to pick up? All right. So you're going to score this. You're going to score this. I just want you to think about it. You're going to score them, and you're going to go from 0 to 4. It's either 0, they carry nothing. 1, they help sometimes. 2, they carry small things. 3, owns something consistent. Or 4, carries real weight. Okay? Write down the number. 0, if they carry nothing. 1, they help sometimes. 2, carry small things. 3, they own some things consistent. And 4, carries real weight. This is the person that you're thinking about. We are going to assess them real time, real person. Score them in this first category, 0 to 4. All right. The next one is movement. What actually moves because of them? Not what they talk about, but what actually gets done. Because a lot of people are good at talking, but go back and see what did they actually do. All right. Do things progress without you touching it? Or does everything wait on you? Here, we're going to score it. 0. Nothing moves. 1. Only moves when they are told. 2. Inconsistent movement. 3. Moves on their own. Or 4. Creates momentum. I'll say it again. 0 means nothing moves. 1. Only moves when they are told. 2. Inconsistent movement. 3. Moves on their own. Or 4. Creates momentum. Write it down. And the last one is impact. Now, this is where truth shows up. When they engage, does it get better or does it get heavier? Do you gain clarity or do you gain more work? Ooh, Lord, help you. What's the impact of their involvement? 0, do they create confusion or more work? So if they create confusion and more work, you give them a 0. If it's a 1, for no real effect. 2, they help sometimes. 3, they bring clarity. Or 4, they strengthen everything. Write it down. Again, 0, if they create confusion and they create more work. 1, no real effect. 2, they help sometimes. 3, brings clarity. And 4, strengthens everything. Write it down. And now total it all up. Total all 3. Whether you have a 4 at weight or 3 at weight or 0 at weight, movement or impact. Take your 3 scores. Total it up. And if you have someone from 0 to 6, they are a surveyor. From 7 to 12, that's a supporter. So now, look at the number, because this is not just a person. This is the person with the most influence in your room. And if that number is low, you don't have a people problem. You've got an influence problem, because whoever has the most influence sets the tone of the room. So if they're not caring, if they're not moving, if they're not strengthening, then everything connected to you is being shaped by someone who is built to hold that position, but they are not qualified to be in that position. That's not small. That's structure, strategy, and system. That's structure. Now, here's your instruction. Don't react. Don't confront. Don't explain. You finish the audit. Because once you run this across your entire room, you don't have confusion anymore. You can't unsee what you've seen. The proof is in the pudding. You'll have something better. Clarity on who's actually building with you or who's just sitting in a seat that were never assigned to hold. Now, you just ran it on one person. Not randomly, not casually. The one with the most influence. And what you just saw is not isolated. That same process, that same clarity, that same standard, you need to run it across everybody that's in your room. The ones already setting, the ones that's already trying to get in, the ones, even the ones you've been thinking about removing. Before you do anything, run this person audit right here. Run this BoardRoom report audit. Same 3 categories: weight, impact, weight, movement, and impact. Same scoring, no adjustments, no emotional edits, none of that. But they've been around so long because time does not qualify a seat. Sometimes people been in the seat too long. They were great when they were agile and they had the mindset and the energy. But sometimes people have outgrown the seat and they need to be ushered out. So now move through your own room, one person at a time. And by the time you finish, you won't be confused anymore. You will see clearly who is carrying, who is moving, who is strengthening, and who is just present with access. And once you see it, you don't need permission to act on it because the table ain't for everybody. Some people will stay, some people will be repositioned, and some people will never get access again. Not out of emotion, but out of structure. Because what you're building cannot afford unassigned people in assigned seats. So from this point forward, don't let just any random person in your room. They get reviewed, classified, positioned. And if they don't carry, they don't sit. If they don't qualify, they don't sit. That's how you protect your room. That's how you protect your vision. And that's how you protect your life. Now go do the work and make sure that the only people at your table are the ones who can actually hold on what's on it. I love you, Pastor Dave, the Change Man Smith. Remember, change ain't changing to change. We'll see you next time. Welcome to the Year of Expansion.
This is the Year of Expansion. Not theory, not talk. Expansion. Brought to you by the Change Agent Network. Powered by SKD Entertainment and distributed by SKD TV. If you're ready to move, if you're ready to build, if you're ready to expand, then you have come to the right room. Welcome to the BoardRoom Report. Strategic direction for clear execution. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Dave, the Change Man Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Selma, Alabama, get ready for the Denim and White Party, Saturday, April 18th, 2026, live at Why Not Entertainment, 2940 County Road 27 in Selma, Alabama. Doors open at 6 p.m. and show starts at 7. Featuring Pastor Dave, the Change Man Smith, and others. Gotta be 25 and up to turn up. Make sure you have your face in the place. Don't miss it, and we'll see you there.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Dave, the Change Man Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Port Gibson, Mississippi, Trader Joke and Lux VIP Lounge and Sandbar presents the Return of the Grown Folks Party, featuring Pastor Derek, the Change Man Smith. Saturday, April 4th, 2026, going down at Lux VIP Lounge and Sandbar, 1202 Market Street in Port Gibson. Doors open at 9 p.m. Admission is just $15 before 9 and $20 at the door. We'll see you there.
What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Derek, the Change Man Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Athens, Georgia, get ready for the Mother's Day extravaganza, Saturday, May 9th at the VFW Post 2872, 835 Sunset Drive in Athens, Georgia. Doors open at 6 p.m. and show at 8. Featuring Pastor Derek, the Change Man Smith, and others. Tickets are $30 in advance and $40 at the door. Get yours now at momdayeventbrite.com or call 229-344-4468. We'll see you there.
Out of the New African Hood version of the Bible. Y'all heard of King James? You know King George? Now you're about to hear from King David. And I'm going to go to the first book of David. The third verse. Around the third chapter, around the 15th verse. And if I had to take my text tonight, my topic would be, I don't want nobody at my house when I'm not home. Can I get a witness here? Let's see. Can I get a witness over here? What's good, everybody? It's Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith, and I'm coming swinging from the chandelier, stumping a hole in the floor, and gonna baptize the stage with sweat. Stay tuned, because this is where I'm coming to next.
Get ready, Florence, Alabama. J&A Productions presents Rock Out and Turn Up Blues Fest. Live at the Florence Lauderdale Coliseum, 702 Veterans Drive in Florence. Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Show starts at 7. Featuring Pastor Derek the Changeman Smith and others. Tickets on sale now. Call 256-856-7775 or get your tickets online now. We'll see you there.